22-23 school year. I'm really excited. This play is artistic. I'm sorry, I should have started with, hi, I'm the piano singer. I'm the theater director here, and I have the honor and privilege of having directed the show and worked with this amazing group of kids. This is not a genre that is in my normal wheelhouse. We decided it was Halloween, so we'd lean in. Not my normal genre, so it's been a lot of fun to try and find our way through it. I have really enjoyed the artistic challenge of this show, and I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. I do have a little bit of business before we get going. If I can have you take your cell phone out and turn it off and put it away. Theater is a transient art form, meaning that what comes and goes and it never comes back again. And if you are here, you're going to miss what's happening here, and I would hate that to happen. This is a show that moves pretty quick. We are an hour and 15 minutes with no intermission, so strap in. A couple more bits of business since we sold you tickets. I do need to tell you that there are emergency exits in the back and emergency exits in the front. Apparently those of you who are on comp tickets, I don't have to tell you, those are actually the state laws, so you're on your own. But everyone else, just a few bits. This exit leads to creepy dark stairs with a lot of spiders. If that's not your jam, go that way. I go that way. So just kind of know that. I don't want anyone to get here and realize it's the wrong exit for them. So in all the shows I've done here, we've only ever had to make use of them one time. Go that way. See that? No flash photography, no photography actually, and no personal videotaping. We were able to purchase a videotape license for the show, but I need to be the one that makes the video. Otherwise we get sued and then we can't do shows, and that's a bad thing. If all goes well, knock on wood, we will have these available for the students, so, or the cast members and the crew. If you happen to claim any of the kiddos that I have had the honor of working with, I just want to say thank you. You have been a part of an amazing person's life. These are some great kids. I have to tell you, this is one of the hardest working casts I've ever known. They have been on, they're phenomenal. I just love them, and if you claim someone in my tech booth, oh my Jeezers, they're amazing. They just really have been some of the quickest pickups. If you are with my stagecraft kids who designed and built this show, those poor kids in my 6th period class had no idea what kind of class they had signed up for. We're all cute and fun for about 2.5 weeks, and I hand them a script and here, read this. Now tell me what it looks like. Now how are you going to build it? Good, go, here's a shot. And they came up with this really cool concept that I'm really pleased with. So if you claim any of the kiddos whose name is in that program, you should be incredibly proud of yourself. They are an incredible bunch of kids. So I do have one more thing I do need to tell you. Because the theater world is weird, we have been having some light problems. Our lights have been doing what in the theater we refer to as ghosting, which means they have been turning on and off for reasons we can't explain. So we think we have it solved, but just in case, my booth knows how to solve the problem, but we have to wait for the problem to happen before we can solve it. It's kind of like having a short in your electrical system in your car. So that's where we are. Heavens forbid, if the light should go out, the cast has been instructed to just keep going. Stay in your seats, chill, we'll solve the problem quickly. Okay? So other than that, all I have is to sit back and enjoy the show.
This play is based on interviews by the members of our theater company soon after the incidents at Meditech, California of February 2021. The interviews were filmed. Tonight's performances are based on those interviews as well as on available primary sources including letters, newspaper articles, recordings, and security camera footage.
Ooh.
start with the story. When I was much younger, way before I was involved in law enforcement, I had this idea. I wanted to be an artist, and this was New York. I lived in a 5th floor walk-up tiny studio, and I'm trying to be a painter. So I'd wait tables during the day and stay up late doing watercolors. And that's when I noticed I had this neighbor. His alarm would go off every morning at exactly 3:30 a.m. And I'd hear him fumble with his socks at exactly 4:15. So I never saw him, but one night I couldn't stand it anymore. I wanted to see what he looked like. So at exactly 4:15, I crept to my own front door, and the door had this big peephole, about this big, and it had this metal plate that you had to slide away to look through. So I crept to my own front door, pressed myself up against it, and slid that little plate aside. And I screamed. An involuntary scream. A real scream. It's not like a movie scream. It's like a loud, rapid, almost choking sound. So I scream, and I fall back. Huge commotion as I hit the ground. Because what had happened was, I slid that little plate aside, and I seen an eye. He was looking in at me. So I'm on the floor, and I just freeze. Finally, from the other side of the door, I hear him fumble with his locks. Now was my chance to see what he looked like. I brushed back over and pressed myself back up against the door, and once again looked through. There's that eye again! It's mine. It's a reflection of my own eye. I realized it just in time to see this freaked out postman heading down the stairs. That's the sound I heard that night. The sound of 241 people screaming all at once in that theater. I told this story to Candelaria, and she said, "You're missing part of the lesson. It was mostly about being startled. But what you do first, you flipped off the light switch. People are naturally afraid of the dark."
When I was 8, we lived in a house in Douglas, North Carolina, which was a quarter of a mile from Kendall Avenue, the main shopping street. It was a tall house, and from my bedroom,
Keep going!
it was a tall house, and from my bedroom on the 4th floor, I could see a billboard. It was an ad for Nike. In the picture, 2 guys and a girl were clowning around, but exaggerated. They were posing for each other. I loved that billboard. To me, it was a picture of infinity. Models acting like people acting like models. It was the first time I encountered recursion, something that bends back into itself, that refers to itself, and it still becomes a loop. My name is Candelaria. When the incident at the Oak Box happened, we were trying to understand it from every angle. Criminal, psychological, biological, and philosophical. That's why they brought me in.
I found this picture. We were on our way to church, and everybody looked so nice that I lighted us up with a timer, and I took one. Me with my arms squeezing all 3 of them, but before I could take the next, I looked, and it was a miracle shot. It was like the Hail Mary from Faulty Photos. So I had it printed, 8x10, and put it in a frame. The frame, though, that hardwood leg on the back that balanced broke, so instead of using that, it was leaning on the top of the wall cabinet. That night, all 3 kids were headed out to the play, and I saw that it slid down, so I had to go and pick it up again. So, over to Grace, and they walked that door, I looked at that picture. Kenosha visited town anyone outside Amber County's ever heard of.
Most people are surprised. Most people are surprised at how pretty it is. Most people's jobs have something to do with parsley farming. Yes, they're parsley farms, big ones. Not a lot of people move here, and not a lot of people live. They like it because it's peaceful and safe.
So my wife has pink eye, and I was gonna go pick her up for our friend Marlon. And when I got there, he said, "You're just in time. The kitchen sinks is faster." I'm a contractor, not a plumber, but I said okay. After about 5 minutes, I said it was gonna be the spot of the show. You want to blow off the show? And he said sure, then we could go grab a drink afterwards. I said okay, but we were gonna pretend that we went to the show.
So it's my first day ever as a detective, and being new at a place gets in your way in ways you don't expect. Like, why is there 2 conference rooms with the same name? And the fax machine, do you press 9 Do not press 9, and please, just edit this out, please. People are not as nice to me as I would be in this situation, and I can't even tell where the paper goes in this fax machine.
It was a printer.
So I'm thinking, how could things get worse? And the whole situation happens, and things get worse and worse and worse.
Mom? Me and Mary Little are sitting on the bridge and we on the oak box, just talking to the world. And suddenly there's this crazy loud sound. It seemed like it came from the oak box, and Mary said, it must be part of the play.
I'm a forensic engineer. If a bridge collapses, or a dam gives way, or if people get trapped in a fire, it's my job to figure out what went wrong. Some of the cases were famous. The Hartford Circus Fire in 1944 killed 160 people. The Great White Fire in 2003 killed 100. One of the things you pay attention to is what happened with the doors. There was a famous fire in Chicago in 1903, the Iroquois Fire. It was right after Christmas, and so kids were out of school, and the whole theater was packed with families, all 3 levels, and even standing room on the second. What happened was a curtain caught fire, and people panicked. People were trying to get out. But the first people to get to the doors realized half a second too late that the doors opened in. And so they couldn't get out because they were pressed with the hinges going the wrong way. When you look at a door that has trapped people, you'd find scuff marks about halfway up the door because the impulse is to kick. If there's more time, you'd find dents, sometimes big ones where they got a fire extinguisher or a dresser, something heavy. But the incident at the oak box, I've never seen anything like it. You look at those doors and you think, what the hell?
So I get home and my wife runs out the door and throws her arms around me. Of course, I have no idea what's going on, but it's clear that I shouldn't say, oh, we were at the play and we got a great out. So she says, look at the news, and I'm expecting Channel 2, but she throws on CNN.
My name is Rick McBainer. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Toronto. I study fear.
911, what's your emergency?
I'm not sure.
Is it life-threatening?
Yes?
Are you safe right now?
No.
I'm sending someone, more than one. They're currently on the way. What's your name, Chica?
Angela?
Angela. I'm sending them to the old box. Is that right?
Yes.
And there's a play tonight. High school there's a play. Is that where you are?
Yes.
In the theater.
Yes.
And somebody's hurt.
Everybody!
Who said again? Where are you in the theater?
I'm standing on the stage.
Take a very, very deep breath. Hold it.
None of it made any sense. All of a sudden, this tiny town was the site of a tragedy that no one's ever seen or heard of. 241 people fall unconscious during a school play that's called Track. We only had a few events for the time. We know that 11 after 8, everyone is still fine, because that's when the usher texts her older brother to come pick her up after the show. She then goes into the theater and turns off her phone. At 9:10, 2 kids on a ridge below the theater hear what they think is a foghorn, but they assume it's part of the play. At 9:52 is when we get the 911 call. A girl named Angela Lord, who it turns out is the only one still conscious. When we finally get to her, she doesn't say a thing. She either doesn't know what happened or is too scared to say it.
The old box was international news. I was hiking in the hills near Cloaks, New Zealand when I heard about it. People fallen unconscious in the theater. That was key. I had conflicting thoughts. I thought, how horrible. And I thought, there it is. There's our food.
I didn't find out until morning, when it was on every single channel. I got that weird feeling you get when you see something on TV that's right in your neighborhood. The oak box? Again? No way that's a coincidence. Everyone was like, that was 67 years ago. I don't care if it was 67 years ago. One theater, 2 tragedies, there's gotta be a connection.
Minute Shop Hero, March 19, 1946. Bond measure 2A, funding to build a new theater palace in Central Block, passed with 54% of the votes. According to Mayor Roger Whiteman, we intend to use this money to construct a building that will attract visitors to Minute Shop from all over the country. The search for architect is set to begin immediately.
Remarkable grant unlocks winning bid for the Vinachap Theater project. Theaters have soaring spaces, fly spaces, where the scenery can be pulled up out of view. My plan extends a metaphor of flight throughout the building. At the sides have arches will rise like wings, lit from within, and my hope is that this theater will be known far and wide as a Manachap Angel.
Manachap Herald, April 1st, 1947. Ground was broken yesterday on the Manachap Angel, our city's 700-seat theater. Mayor Roger Weckman overturned the ceremonial first shovelfuls of earth, then declared that the new theater would be a boon to our economy, and, even more, to our spirit.
Letter from Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, April 3rd, 1947. My dear sister, I miss you. I miss you, and there's no one anywhere in Manachap I can tell this to. I'm disgusted with myself. I had Jonathan all to myself for 3 hours, and I said nothing. We had dinner at Chauncey's cream room, but it was somber. Jonathan's been so quiet since Pat had moved to San Francisco. Why do men have so few friends? He didn't talk, and I couldn't think of anything to talk about except the question, and I simply wasn't brave enough to ask it.
Manachap Herald, April 4th, 1947. 3 days in, construction halted on the Manachap Civic Theater. According to Foster William, chief engineer, synapse techniques have shown the granite bedrock in Sunbird Bluff is twice as thick as previously believed. Our plans call for dressing rooms below ground, as well as stage machinery, including trap doors. This delay will be a few weeks at most.
Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, May 25th, 1947. He said yes. Adelaide, I can't tell you how happy I am. Saturday night, we walked up on the bluff. We stared out at the lights on the ships, and when he looked away, I bent down on my knee. I held out Grandfather's wedding band. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What does it look like I'm doing?" "That's not how it's done." I said, "Jonathan, we are going to be married for at least 50 years. No one needs to know how it began." Adelaide, I feel lit from within, electrified. But this time, I promise, not in a bad way. Must rush off. The Crowleys are coming over, so I have to buy another sofa.
Manachap Herald, May 31st, 1947. Local boy vanishes. 10-year-old Marcus Tumble was reported missing Wednesday night after he disappeared at a family picnic. He'd been playing hide and seek with his cousin, said his father Guillermo. Then they went to play on the beach below Sunbird Bluff, and he didn't come back. Marcus is 5 feet, 2 inches tall, and he was wearing white shorts and a long black sweater. He's missing a foot too.
Letter from Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, June 2nd, 1947. My apologies for not being clearer on the topic of the Crowleys and the sofa. Last week, I was certain that Jonathan would rebuff my proposal. It drove me positively frenzied. The morning before I proposed, I was alone in the house, and I banged the south wall of the living room as hard as I could with my shoe. I did it again, and again, and again until I was finally calm. The sofa arrived just in time, and I was able to blame the movers for the dents in the wall.
Manachap Herald, June 7th, 1947. Yesterday, by votes of 5 to 4, the Board of Supervisors authorized new blueprints on the Manachap Civic Theater. According to Supervisor Ed Orenthal, we've had no choice given our updated understanding of the geology of the club. We've had to abandon the idea of wingless.
Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, June 7th, 1947. My dear sister, every moment of every day is the happiest time of my life. The only shadow is that it's so easy to tip Jonathan into silence. He was so quiet after I made a joke about the kilt he was wearing to the Scotch Festival. Then yesterday, I said, "Darling, please don't misconstrue this, but I'm glad your business failed. Finally, you're all mine." Los Angeles Times, September 2nd, 1947. For the first time in history, residents of the Passive Farming community of Manachap, California are locking their doors. The disappearance of 10-year-old Marcus Tumble from the south of this town and out of north of St. Barbara. Marcus disappeared while family communicated in an area called Sunbird Bluff. In the absence of possible natural reasons, residents live in Chill rarely. Marcus's mother, Thea, remains suspicious that she went missing on the day of the Scotch Festival. All someone we've seen before, walking over town wearing dresses. The police say there's no evidence, but I need evidence.
Manachap Herald, September 24th, 1947. Man arrested in Marcus Tumble case. Police on Thursday announced that they taken into custody a suspect in the case of missing 10-year-old Marcus Tumble. The man in custody is 33-year-old.
Jonathan! September 24th, Adelaide, they put Jonathan in jail! It's unbelievable! They say he had something to do with the boy who went missing. It's ridiculous.
They won't even say why they suspect him.
Letter from Gander Maid, Esquire, to Samson Bonnet, Esquire. The trial proceeds well. On the stand, Mrs. Tumble pointed out a scratch on the flooring that was found in Mr. Mullis's furnished room. She positively identified it as it belonged to her son. But Mrs. Tumble is not our only ally. Watch the jury as they watch Miss Pike. When her fiancé grimaces, she grimaces. When he looks downcast, so does she. She impeaches herself as a character witness. She will be desperate to testify on his behalf. We must not seem too eager.
Excerpt from a transcript of the trial at the courthouse by the sea. Cross-examination of Jonathan Millesk.
Mr. Mullins, the flooring I have here, you claim to have picked it up on the beach. Is that right?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I just did.
Were you afraid you might drown?
Laughter in the courtroom.
Objective. Sustained. So, Mr. Mullins, on the afternoon of May 30th, the afternoon that 10-year-old Marcus Tumble disappeared, you claim to have been taking a long walk, a 4-hour-long walk on the beach. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you in the habit of taking 4-hour-long walks in the middle of your workday?
No.
Had you ever taken such a walk?
No.
Did anyone see you?
It was a weekday afternoon.
Mr. Mullis, you work at Monty's Limited Shipping and Transcription as a typist. Is that right?
Yes.
How long has that been your employment?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and you felt comfortable taking 4 hours off.
I had to think about the world. My place in it.
Mr. Mullis, you took this walk without telling anyone. Is that right?
I wrote a note saying I wasn't feeling well.
And who did you give this note to?
I mentioned it to my supervisor, Mr. Clark. But I found it later in my own pocket.
Manajap Herald, November 12th. Verdict announced. Swift justice. After deliberating 25 hours, the Johnson Mosque jury announced a guilty verdict on the counts of kidnapping, and guilty as well on the counts of murder. There was a commotion in the first row when Mosque's fiancé began to wail so loudly that she had to be forcibly removed from the courtroom. But the murderer was never to spend 1 minute behind bars. And in an extraordinary scene, 2 hours later, the boy's father and 3 armed men flushed the bailiff as they made their way from the courthouse of the sea to the transports. The assailants grabbed Mr. Moss and pulled him to the ocean and held him underwater until he was still. A witness reported that the incident confirmed Moss's guilt, as he made not a move to free himself. He allowed himself to be held under without a struggle. November 17th, body of child found. Construction workers on the site of the Civic Theater uncovered the body of a child. Authorities have confirmed that Marcus Tumble was found to meet a trap door on the Longville Theater. It's a 1 in a million tragedy, said construction supervisor Hudson Mills. The doors to the theater were still shut for safety, but one of the lower windows had come unlatched. He must have climbed in. From there, he appears to have peered into the still shut trap door. When the door was shut behind him, he wouldn't have had a chance. Amanda Chap Herald, February 1st.
Los Angeles Times, February 2nd. Time Magazine, February 7th.
The Civic Theater is home to the most extraordinary spectacle ever witnessed by this community.
The long great opening of the Metro Civic Theater will long be remembered. 3 months out of discovery of a boy being still under construction trapped in the theater.
The tragedy known to every member of our town.
The opening of the theater is finally underway.
With the night drenched in the sun squall, the capacity audience dashed their umbrellas, shook off their coats, eager to put the events of the past 2 months out of their heads.
The audience watched Rapids Medea, passionately played by Broadway actress Lene Rasmussen, crowded children to her breast one final time. But as Medea wailed in her vengeance, Norma Pike, fiancée of unfortunately accused Jonathan Mullis, entered the theater dressed all in green.
She, thus dressed in a costume,
Dressed like the ocean,
she held the lock of grass.
tall and green, full of liquid.
Held it high like a torch and proclaimed.
Welcome to this theater, your theater.
Most of the audience will later report to believe her would be a part of the performance.
This ugly box of a theater will become famous, but not in the way you hoped. No one will ever think of this dank shell of oak without thinking of the 3 people who died because of it. The boy who had suffocated, the man murdered because of the boy, and the woman who cursed the building for all time by drowning in it.
Some looked away. The rest were they had as.
She brought the glass to her mouth and tipped it back, poured it straight into her throat.
Aspirated the entire contents of the glass.
Swallowed it without swallowing. Her eyes burned to the audience. They were dark. She fell dead to the floor.
And for the 700 people, Miss Pike drowned herself with a glass of seawater.
Pitch 71 of Ponte, California by Naomi Anderson. In the years since the triple tragedy, dozens of people, who like the cart, schoolboy daredevil, have looked up at a single-winkle window in a theater lobby and seen a figure. Some of the boy, trapped, afraid. Other times you can see the outline of a man, eyes closed, resigned. But on the rare occasions when watchers find themselves drenched, overtaken, the shade illuminated by the lightning flash of the woman, she held a sea green goblet and smiled an invitation. Drink with me.
After the incident at the Oak Box, one of the things I wanted to know was why Medichap? Why the Oak Box? Everyone in town knows the story of Norma Pike, but it's a local tragedy. On impulse, really, I Googled scary theaters. It's the top result. 4 terrifying theaters. Princess Theatre, Melbourne, Australia, Manila Film Center, Pasay City, Philippines, Drury Lane, London, and then there it is, 4th out of 4. The Oak Box, Medichap, California. It gave me chills because that's when I realized that's how they found the Oak Box.
It was that morning, 18 hours after the Oak Box incident. 236 members of the audience and 5 members of the cast on the ground, breathing, thank God. But 2 mysteries. What happened to those people? That was the main question, of course. And second, doors. How do we make sense of those doors?
Tell us your name, please.
I'm Avishai Lenzer. I'm the Chief Forensic Engineer with the California Department of Infrastructure.
Captain Sayers. I'm a firefighter at Station 41, Medichap County.
My name is Issa Quigley. I'm a neurobiologist at UC Berkeley.
I was the first person in the theater that night. I saw the girl on stage. I figured her out. Before I picked her up, she said the one thing we couldn't figure out. Forward.
The first thing I noticed about the bodies was the lack of what's called relative resonance. It's the tendency of people who know each other in tragic situations to cluster. After a fire, you find the bodies of friends holding each other, or a parent wrapped around a child. But the bodies in the Oak Box were different. People who were not related sometimes fell on top of each other, and people who loved each other in life sprawled in different directions.
Theater camera 1.
What about this girl? Sarah West? She was almost through the door. Was she leaving early?
No, look at the way she fell. She was running.
And she has earbuds in her mouth. She wasn't paying attention to the play.
Can you tell me what she was listening to?
Yeah. It's classical. Gymnopedie number 1?
Keep Napoli, number 1, by Eric Sadie.
Yeah.
Something else is raised. Paige. Is something wrong? I didn't know you knew my name. What do you notice else about the positions of the bodies?
The programs. How many people are holding them?
I noticed that too.
Like they've been trying to rig them up until the last second.
It was the speed that threw me. What could have overcome that many people that fast? Maybe an electrical impulse, or maybe some type of gas had overcome them. We started the ventilation system. There was nothing.
I was in the theater a lot. I wanted to spend time with them.
I asked the firemen, any thoughts what could have overcome this many people that fast?
How do you know it was fast?
Of course it was fast.
That's what they brought me to. Figuring out how long a body is unconscious for isn't actually that hard to do if you have the right equipment. When a person loses consciousness, the body temperature drops by 2.5 degrees, but that takes a while. So we attached electrodes to the forehead, manometers, and we found some surprise statements.
None of it made any sense.
First person to fall was Paul Schmidt in CA13. Next was Anna Strohan, 0 back in 241. The first 26 people didn't lose consciousness all at the same time. They went down one by one.
I asked, are you sure of this?
Theater camera 1, continuous.
I'm positive. Look at this. Here's the CD chart for Oak Bus. A13, D41. What do you notice?
Nothing.
Next was F42.
So, front row, aisle, then the other side of the aisle.
Then, Leah's for sheet, L19.
The back of row L is at the horizontal side of the middle. It started from the front and the back and the sides.
Exactly. It works that way until the 26th person, Franklin James.
I know Frank.
Whatever happened to them, it started at the edge and then worked its way in like something cooking.
This doesn't seem like a natural phenomenon. This seems like attackers.
Agreed.
241 people fall unconscious, like they got snuck up on. But that doesn't make sense, because they could see every other person falling over. I just don't see how humans could do this.
Meaning what?
I'm not sure.
Hey, can you guys shut up for a second? There. Do you hear that?
I don't hear anything.
There. I used to live in Alaska until I was 10, and your ears are always covered, so I have really good hearing. It sounds like a chirp. Again, over there. It sounds like the noise is coming from the bodies.
Which bodies?
All of them.
On Sunday morning, we had 2 mysteries. On Sunday afternoon, we had 3. What happened to those people? What were the sounds that everyone was hearing? And again, the doors. Those doors were wide open, and those people had 45 minutes to leave.
Officials are baffled today by events in a small California town.
Our top story tonight, a mystery.
Un evento misterioso.
On Monday morning, I put out footage. The tips came flooding in. We got messages from 5 continents. We pulled investigators from other counties to check out every single lead.
I got the slush pile. It was bigger than all of them combined, and it had more crazy than I knew was in this row.
I read a book once about intelligent monkeys.
My name is Jasper, so you know you can trust me.
Stop putting those dead people on TV.
I'll help you if you'll help me.
Are you doing it all? Are you switching? Something just like this happened to me.
Stop showing those bodies on TV. It disturbs me.
I recognize the one on the left.
That must have been one boring play.
Transfer from Seattle, Washington to the Oak Box Hotline. October 7th, 7:32 p.m.
Oak Box Hotline.
Hello, my name is Mary Day. I'm a professor at the University of Washington, and I'm about to say something crazy.
Uh-huh.
This is Secure Line.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you something. You have to promise not to hang up on me.
I can't promise that.
We've got a theater full of people who are falling unconscious.
Yes.
By now, I'm sure you figured out that they were attacked one by one.
How do you know that?
I think you're dealing with something called Fahrenheit.
Aeronauts? What are aeronauts? Now I'm gonna hang up.
Are your victims still alive?
Yes.
They won't be if you hang up. You have less than a week before their heart starts to stop.
Aeronauts.
They're not human, but they look human.
Why haven't I heard of them?
Hello? Hello? Sorry, I thought I heard something. You haven't heard of aeronauts because they don't want you to. Aeronauts are like locusts. They attack every 16 years. The last attack was in Gulfside, Scotland. And there was an attack in Iceland 16 years before that. And then 16, and then 60. This is swarming behavior. You can just attack, mate, and then like die. All except one. A caretaker who watches over the larvae while they grow. So what this means is that all aeronauts are 16 years old except for one.
Okay, thank you. I've made notes of your call, and we'll get back to you if necessary.
Was there any unusually high numbers of new students at Kenosha High School this year?
Yes,
And at least one teacher?
the theater teacher.
What happened to the old one?
She died.
Suddenly with no apparent cause?
Yeah. Again, why hasn't anyone else heard of these things?
Oh,
What?
nothing. My house was a blown fuse. I can't see a thing. There are 4 of us who are trying to hunt Fahrenheit. At the same time, Fahrenheit are hunting us. Of course, they have an advantage.
Which is what?
They know for sure that we exist.
Where are the other 3 people studying them?
This is a zoologist in Columbia named Quentin Muguruza. There's an evolutionary biologist named Melissa Tengu, and a professor at the University of Toronto. He studies fear.
Then I better quit. call room, I had a decision to make. I could move on to the next call, or I could march into Sister Brock's office and say, I know this sounds crazy, but I might be onto something. And as ridiculous as it sounds, I believed him. But I was new at work, and I was already screwing up. I moved on to the next call.
At first, we didn't know what we were studying, hunting. But then we realized the key had already been discovered by Bolivian Cuenta Mugrosa and her apprentice, Adina Cantu, who had won the Nobel Prize for their work in biology.
Estamos estudiando algo que hemos vivido todo durante siglos.
We're studying something people have known for centuries.
Se llama el enigma de la vida negra.
It's called the black widow conundrum. When an insect gets caught in a black widow's web, the spiders attack immediately. Instead, they follow a particular, almost ritualized pattern of movement. The struggling moth knows that something approaches. Slowly, the widow moves herself into view. Large, black, shiny. The insect panics, jerking the web up and down. The widow moves her legs, revealing a blood-red hourglass. Adrenaline flows from the moth and into the web, the strands drench the insect's terror, and the widow bathes in it.
It's a brilliant evolutionary strategy because it's a way to get nourishment from a different part of the animal. Every other predator on the planet feeds on the meat of its prey. These creatures subsist on the powerful chemicals secreted by animals who are terrified. They feed on fear.
A creature that feeds on fear has a different hunting strategy than one that feeds on flesh. If fear is what sustains you, then you have to create it, and so do fear For they do not chase their prey, they trap it.
The black widow and the bloodshot are the two most famous paradox. A plant, an insect. But then there is an evolutionary jump.
The idea that a species of paradox was so capable of mimicking humans was so far-fetched that we had to step back and ask not how they did it, but why. Why would it be worth to prey on humans when there are thousands of other creatures that they could capture?
Evolution follows the prey. The juicier the prey, the more clever the trap. Paradox's chosen prey, their only prey, are the creatures on Earth most susceptible to fear.
Human brains evolved in a way that made us really good at seeing threats from the horizon. Is that a snake in the grass or a branch? Is that the sound of thunder or a lion? All this worry kept us alive for hundreds of thousands of years, but when we emerged from the jungle, our capacity for worrying didn't just go away. So instead of worrying about being eaten by a lion, we worry about tomorrow's math test.
All the anxiety we produce is useless to us. But from a paradox point of view, it makes us the equivalent of a large, slow-moving snake.
From the obituary for Marion J., a professor of neuroscience at the University of Washington. Professor J was well-liked and well-respected. Her unexpected passing has thrown a cloud over the campus. Professor J is survived by her parents Martin and Pandela J, as well as her grandmother, Thelma Lamb.
Interview with Kenosha Sylvain Johnson, October 5th, 2021, 8:50 a.m., Manitowoc High School, second floor, Townsend office.
And do you know why we're having this conversation today, Kenosha? Because of yesterday? Could you be more specific? Because of what happened in the woods. We're here because of what you told people happened in the woods. It happened. You talked to a lot of people yesterday, and you told them all the same story. Yes. Now, is that story true, or is it possibly made some of it up? It was all true. So that's why we're here today, Kenosha. Because that story what you told people happened in the woods, that story's not true.
Kenosha came out of the womb perfect, and when she was 3 weeks old, she had seizure. We were so afraid we might lose her. You could tell right away that something had changed.
So I remember Kenosha's first 10-minute shot because she'd gone to the audition board, and only the street of the was broken. So there was no way to write your name on it. And I said, if you want to audition, I'd let it pen. And she said, my name is Kenosha R. Silverling Johnson.
So, the joke very quickly went around. I don't know who said it first. That the R?
The R.
The R was to distinguish herself.
To distinguish herself from all the other Kenosha Silverling Johnsons.
The kids that are old school could be so mean. Benachop was supposed to be a fresh start.
Thinking back, that was a bad start. Because you went out of your head, a little bit distant.
Kenosha had all the normal emotions, grief, happiness, nervousness, but they weren't wired right. Like, she grimaced to say I love you. She spent her whole life studying people's expressions, and she got quite good showing the right emotion, but she was acting. It was like she was doing it phonetically. There was one thing she could never manage to do, and that was to lie. There was too much going on. What do you do with your hands? Do your eyes look up or down? She couldn't calibrate the information.
She told me she couldn't go to homecoming with me because her uncle was an astronaut. I mean, I wasn't actually going to ask her out, but it still made me feel bad.
I'd give her lessons. I'd say, the situation you're in is you're 2 hours late, and I've been trying to reach you. I'm frantic and angry. Go. She'd go blank. Now, you tell me your phone ran out of juice, and she was awful. I'd say, Kenosha, you've got to master this, or you're going to have the most boring teenagers of anybody on earth.
So, the bench incident really was an accident. So, you know the lunch tables, right? They're along with these long benches, and Kenosha was sitting there all alone, and I came up to her from the other side and asked if anybody was sitting there, and she said no. And I picked up the bench and moved it to our table, and it's in order to fit more people. Of course, long term, this actually worked in her favor, because while she was sitting all alone, as we Clifton went over her.
Clifton? Oh, where's the star?
Clifton's perfect.
I think that he's really, really nice.
Kind. So sweet. We don't have homecoming kings or queens or any sort of prom royalty, but if we did, he'd be bogey. So Jeff walked over and asked if he could sit with her.
There was one thing, actually, when I saw her the first time, her phone rang, and she didn't even look at who it was. But she made herself smile, and when she answered the phone, you could hear it in her voice.
Next thing you know, I look over, and they have thrown together, and she's making him laugh.
A lot of times, she was hilarious on purpose, but not always. Once, I was laughing so hard.
His head hits the side of the table.
Once, she said to me, I like you more than water.
I couldn't tell if it was romantic or not.
So it's girl you week in school, and there is a new girl dancing in front of the audition for. Only the shape of the pencil has broken.
I wanted to be in a play, so I did some research and I found the best book about acting, which is Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting. It's pretty famous and it's great. You should read it if you're interested in acting at all.
We had talked about the idea of Kenosha being involved in theater because I thought she'd be quite good. She was so good at mimicking emotion. I said, well, sweetheart, go for it.
Fast forward to all those people, it made things. It's here. Did they cancel the play? No. Then it didn't scare them enough. Why do you want the play canceled? Something bad is going to happen. What's going to happen? Can you tell me that?
It was really early for the fall thing happening, but it seems to have something to do with the Miss Penn on Friday.
Me, March, had one of my best teachers. Such a shock. School. Just bam, dropped dead of a heart attack. She was 38, didn't smoke, exercised. You know that just happens sometimes.
She came home the day of the audition and she burst through the door and I asked her, how'd it go? She said, I yelled it.
I saw her audition. She was really good, but I told her, you never know.
The next day she calls home from school and she's talking very fast and says, I didn't get the part. And I say, you know, sweetheart, sometimes that happens. We don't get everything we expect. She says, but I was the better one. Even then, there could be all sorts of reasons. She said, no, something's up.
Your casting? What's pretty strange.
Why in this life, why don't I know any of these names?
The casting list was pretty weird. Almost every person who got a part was new that year.
When she'd get too excited, Kenosha would lose her skill at imitating, so I'd start to hear a strange noise. She hung up and I was worried something might happen.
We were at the first cast meeting, and I was there to see if I could audition for Ted. All of a sudden, Kenosha comes marching in and starts to make some sort of announcement. And then she didn't. She started to make beeping noises.
That was a panic attack.
She fell apart, one knee, couldn't breathe. She actually crawled out of the room.
A person who tells a story over and over, it gets a performance aspect out of it. They subconsciously know what things are getting a reaction, and the more this person tells the story, the more they lean into those aspects of it. And the story doesn't get so much memorized as etched.
She said, I'm going to tell you a story. Please just listen.
She said, please, just listen.
Please, just listen. Yesterday, I made it out of the school, but I hit my left knee.
My left knee.
Frank's mirrors, I couldn't go very fast.
I was allowed to walk home on the highway as long as I faced traffic. I looked behind me, and all of a sudden there were 3 people way back, and I knew I had to get away from them.
There's that big strip of forest between the highway and the Walmart. And before I jumped in, I looked back, and they were way closer. The forest is deep, but I couldn't do it all the time.
The force is deep, but I have to go all the time.
So I knew I had to get to, but when I look back,
Oh, that's so scary.
When I looked back, I got so scared because they turned in right after me. They wanted me in the forest, and they were fast.
All of a sudden, there was this sound. Crazy
The
loud.
loudest thing I've ever heard.
ever heard.
Ever. I can't tell where they're coming from. I'm shaking.
I ran.
I ran faster than I could see.
And when I look back, this was the one thing that scared me more than anything ever.
One by one, their eyes lit up.
Which
Which
I
I
know
know
sounds
sounds
crazy.
crazy.
I could hear music ahead of me. I remember there was a carnival, a mini carnival for kids in the Walmart parking lot. Just some bumper cars in a tilt-a-whirl. And I could hear the 7-year-old screaming as they came down the dip of the kiddie coaster.
All I needed was to get them. But when I looked back, there were 3 pairs of little eyes.
There were 2.
Whereas the other one,
And I have to choose. Do I try to make it to the parking lot carnival, or do I hide in the forest? I know I'm close, but for some reason the scariest idea is that I almost make it. That I'm just a few feet from safety. And the third one is waiting, and he grabs me in his arms.
And I can't do it. I can't go forward. You don't naturally go because we've got no person there. I try to climb the tree.
I start climbing the live oak.
a live oak, and halfway up I freeze. 2 of them get to me, and then the third one does, but they don't see me, even though they light the ground with their eyes.
They start to argue.
They have an argument about whose fault it was, and then 2 of them attack the third, and he starts to scream, please no. And then right after, she whispers in his ear. She says it so quietly, but I could hear it completely clear. And after she finishes whispering it to her, the thing that she said was, can I tell you a secret?
Kenosha, can you concentrate just a little longer here? You said that the eyes lit up. Could it just have been flashlights?
No, I know the difference.
Have you ever heard someone's eyes light up?
No.
So is it possible you imagined it? If what you said happened and what has really happened, there should have been 4 sets of footprints, right? But they only found yours.
They must have erased them.
The police followed the track back to the tree, just like you said, and there was nobody there. They removed it. And what about the sounds? The sounds you said they were coming from everywhere?
It was a foghorn.
There are no foghorns within 200 miles.
It was a foghorn.
Foghorns are an example of a phenomenon called duotones, sounds that can mean different things in different contexts. In the distance, a foghorn is comforting. It tells you you're safe. But if you hear loud, it's terrifying. You're too close, it's too late.
After the story in the woods, Kenosha started to act strange. Like she wouldn't go to the South Wing, where the theater is. Wouldn't go at all, even to Chem Lab. And I'd say, Kenosha, you're putting your whole chem grade in jeopardy. But she will not go anywhere near that theater.
She started to talk bad about the play. She pulled me aside and said, this play is like a malady. I had no idea what she meant.
She told me that this play was going to be like a sick dog, only scarier.
She said it would leave a greenish taste in my mouth.
I'm surprised she had time to go to class. She talked over a quarter of the school.
She pulled me aside and said, I don't think you should go to the play. Let's play charades that night.
We should have a movie night.
She said, please, please, please don't go to the play. I said, Kenosha, I'm in the play.
She was so scared to go to the play, but of course she ended up going. She thought she could save those people. My brain is an anchor, right here. It weighs on my thoughts and I cannot see through it.
Please, I like you more than water.
Kenosha told everyone she meant that the play was going to end in horror. I knew she could lie, and I still didn't believe her. Email from Marion J. to Gwendolyn H. October 4th. 3 days before Marion J. was found dead in her study.
Pheromones are the perfect replicas of people. These things pass from humans everywhere. They mimic our emotions. And the only person who's been able to detect a pheromone is the girl who's mimicking emotions herself. The girl who disappeared. Kenosha.
Email from Marion J. to Gwendolyn H. October 5th. 2 days before Marion J.'s death.
Miss Hayes, please respond to me. When pheromones attack, it's 99.9% fatal, like rabies. What's your attack? You have up to 2 weeks before your heart attack to stop. But it's going to stop. In the whole history of the time that this has been happening, there's only ever been one survivor.
I was still working the slush pile, and there was only one person who knew what happened in that theater. And if I was going to talk to her, I was going to need an angle. I marched into the box office without knocking and said, "Let me talk to the girl."
I said, the girl's useless.
She said 4 words to that fireman, which doesn't make sense.
She wanted out of there.
What if what she said was 4 words? Let me talk to the girl. I can get those 4 words.
When I walked into the theater, it was warm and heavy, like a greenhouse. There were 241 bodies, but they all had IV tubes into them. And so the IV bags were up to here. And that's kind of what you noticed at first. In a way, it was kind of beautiful, because the theater was dark, and those bags glowed.
He came up to me and he said, "I want to take some time off."
And he said, "I'm sorry, we need all hands on deck right now."
Efren said, and he choked up, "I know these people. I love these people."
I wanted to spend time in the theater, see if I could figure out where the noises from the bodies were coming from. He said, "Nobody can hear those noises except for you."
And Efren said, "That's why they need me."
Manitowoc Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4, October 21st, 9:30 a.m.
Angela? Hi. My name's Winnipeg, and I'm trying to figure out what happened in that theater that night. Does that security camera bother you? It shouldn't. It's just there in case if something went wrong, which it won't. It'd just be there in case they needed to look at it to see what happened. I feel like I know you. Everybody I've talked to, everybody, when they mention your name, their whole voice bubbles up. They talk about your CPR class you organized, and your sense of humor, and your soccer. Right now, a lot of people need your help. I have this theory about what you said to that fireman. He heard 4 words, but what I think you said was 4 words. Can you tell me which of those it was? Get away from me! I'm sorry, get away! Help! Help me!
Theater Camera 1, October 25th, 2:45 a.m.
Anyway, Emily, I'll be back to check on you soon. Miss Mel, this is Efren Salas. I was in your 8th grade trigonometry class 14 years ago. I'm here to make sure you're safe and comfortable, but that's not all. I think you're trying to make sounds. You and everybody else in this theater. And I know you can hear me. If you're trying to make a sound, I'll hear you. And I have good hearing. Try it for me. The year I was in your math class was the year those midterm tests got stolen off your desk before you had time to grade them. Make a noise if you remember that. For me, it's a nice memory because I was new to the school and I was one of the kids who had that period free. But instead of making me a suspect, you deputized me. I never told anyone how much that meant to me. To be trusted like that. That whole experience shaped who I wanted to be. It's part of the reason why I fight fires. And that's why I wanted to tell you that I did steal those tests. Hey!
Quiet!
They can hear us.
You've got to keep your voice down.
Do it again, Miss Mel. Just one more time.
Manitowoc Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4.
Thank you for seeing me again. Answer every question. Pause more than 1 second, I kick you out. What's a book you were in high school English? Hamlet. In 15 seconds, tell me your life. Born and raised in Indiana, but I wanted to be an artist, so I moved to New York. It didn't work out, but I met my husband. We have a daughter, and she's in 3rd grade. 6 times 8. 48. What are you all afraid of? Millipedes. What's the secret? What secret? Tell me the secret or I'll kick you out. I don't know what you're talking about. It was 4 words. 4 words someone that night said in the theater, yes? Yes. Angela, there's nothing here that can harm you. Tell me who said those words. Adult or student? Adult. Female or male? Female. What were those 4 words? I'll tell you next time. Give me just one. At least just the first word. Thank you. Why does this scare you, Angela?
Theater camera 3.
There are these scientists in Guangzhou, China, that have this machine that seems to help in coma patients. It can make sound waves, and it's so huge that they put it in a cargo plane, and it's already flying over the Pacific. And there's this group in Cape Town that have some medicine that will materially stimulate brain function. And all over the world, in all different ways, people are praying for you.
Everett,
Captain Doctor?
I've got bad news. The EEG results came back and none of the bodies show brain function.
No brain function that they can measure.
It would register.
You don't know that. What if whatever happened to the bodies hides brainwaves?
That's not possible.
This isn't possible.
They're breathing, but they're as good as dead.
Then why can I hear those noises?
Nobody hears those noises but you.
Because I have great hearing.
Or because you want to hear them.
I hear them.
Never shout at me.
I'm sorry.
It's not good for you to be here so much.
It gives me strength.
When was the last time you slept?
I don't need sleep. They're sleeping for me.
That doesn't make any sense. I don't want to lose you too.
Fine then. I'll sleep.
Angela, I brought a friend with me, and I heard you like to play, so I would love to hear you play, but in order to do that, I'm going to have to let him get close to you. If that's okay with you. Are you alright? Are you too tired to play something?
No, P #1 by Eric Said. It's famous for being silly, calming. Here, parrots play Come to Children.
It's very beautiful. What's the second word?
Plays.
The place. What's the third word? Let the music calm you down. Not. The play's not. What's the fourth word?
Over.
The play's not over. And why does this happen to bother you so much?
Theater cameras 4 and 6. October 14th, 4 p.m.
Captain Donovan, I figured it out. I know what's going on.
I'm here to escort you out.
No!
Yes, Efren.
I figured it out!
We're worried about you.
Haven't you ever had that dream? Something scary is coming towards you. And you can't move, and you can't speak. All you can make are these tiny little squeaks that people outside the gym can hear. They're trying to scream their way out.
Efren, you know I like you, and I think you respect me.
I do.
But you are out of your right mind.
I'm fine.
I disagree, and I'm ordering you to come with me.
They need me here.
There's no they there anymore.
Then why can I hear those noises?
The debate now is when to take them off of life support.
No!
The doctors made this decision.
They got it wrong.
I need you to come with me.
Or what?
Or you're fired.
I don't care about that.
No department in the country will hire you.
I'll change careers.
I'm 2 seconds from dragging you out.
You're not big enough.
I brought deputies.
I'll slip between the bags.
Get out of this theater right now.
No.
Guys,
Wait a minute. There's still people in those bodies. Listen to me. If you can hear me, I need you to know something. I need you to know that you are loved. I love you, and this town loves you, and God loves you, and I would never let anything bad ever happen to you, ever. But I need you to do something for me. If you can reach back to me, I need you to do it right now. Give me 1%, and I'll reach you the other 99.
let's go, Efren.
Shh. Did you hear that?
I hear it.
I can see it.
I hear them too. Okay, they're in all right. We'll find a way to get them out.
Even over this, something protected you. I don't know what. Let's go to the performance date one more time. Typical Friday,
math, English, biology, social studies, PE, and Toastmasters.
Which is after squat for why?
Yeah.
Are you a good speaker?
No, that's why I'm in Toastmasters. My head gets light, my chest tightens up.
What?
It was my day to speak. My dad's an internist. He gave me a pill, Adderall. It keeps the adrenaline coming over so I can speak normal.
You took pills that block adrenaline?
No. I took 3.
Fear is irrational. Scary movies make us wince, even though that we know that nothing can come out of that screen and hurt us. If anything, it should be theater that's scary.
Unsent email from Marion J. The afternoon of her death.
The attack is so simple. Vernon says, "Can I tell you a secret?" And the victim says, "Yes." And that's a mistake. Because think of all the scary things that the secret could be. If Vernon whispers something, a tiny sensitive man sizes touches the ear, drains every bit of venom from the victim's body, and they fall unconscious. These things frighten me. I studied them, but I studied them at a distance. They're right at the border between the things that we pretend scare us and the people who actually do.
Meter charges 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Final reporting.
You can do this.
Who's there?
It's us, Detective Cage, and you remember Angela. You carried her out of here?
Yes. Hello? Are you all right?
No?
Being here takes some time to get used to.
I almost every place. If you can remember it, that could help make a difference. Are they still alive?
Giving them water, nutrients, but soon that isn't going to be enough.
Could you leave us alone, just for a bit?
I'll be back. There's others back there if you need them.
Do you remember where you're sitting?
Over there.
And that day, there were posters all over the school, right?
Yeah, they said, "Don't tell the secret," and they changed to, "Can I tell you the secret?"
Good. Then the next day, they changed the title of the play. Do you remember that? It might help you to get up on stage.
No.
You made a phone call from up there. Do you remember that?
I don't.
They found you right in the wall. I want you to lower your head and close your eyes. On the count of 3, lift your head and open your eyes again. 1, 2, 3.
I'm not sure. Yes. No.
No.
What's your name, Tina?
Angela!
Angela, I'm just going to over. Is that right?
Yes!
And there's a play tonight. High school group of play.
Yes!
In the theater.
Yes!
Somebody's hurt.
Everybody!
Who's that again? Where are you in the theater?
I'm standing on the stage.
Take a very, very deep breath. Hold it.
Angela, what are you thinking about?
Then, calling for help, and knowing it was too late.
I want you to look at something. This is the program from that day. That's the title of the play.
Trap.
What?
Right in front of us.
What was?
Should have been obvious. The play's a trap, and it's called Trap. The play was in sections. 1, a pick and shoot baby. 2, the old box. 3, what held them. What held us. Something happened in that theater. A high school play. Everyone falling over unconscious.
And in the play you were watching, what was it about?
That's what it was about.
What made the audience member fall unconscious?
There's these creatures, things that look human but they weren't. They're called Baronox. They attack the audience one by one and then all at once.
And what happened to the people you were with in real life?
Same thing.
No. What made the audience member fall unconscious?
Those creatures, they look human but like black widows, they feed on fear.
Those things are in a play
are!
I promise they're not. They confuse us. The play's what all things around to us. So when it started, we can tell what was real and what wasn't.
Angela, preachers who feed on fear and put on plays, it's ridiculous.
Sounding like they're ridiculous is how they hide!
Even if they were real, they're not here now. Take a very deep breath. Hold it.
Get away from me.
What's wrong?
Who's here? Who's in the theater?
Are you all right?
I think we're okay. Should we leave?
No, I just got scared.
This place can do that. Do you want me to stay?
Please, for a little bit.
Tell me more about the creatures.
In the final section of the play, which is also called Trap, the fairy knock started to attack.
Attack the audience.
Yeah.
How did they do that?
One of the girls in the story, she walked down into the audience and she was narrating, she was yelling. First, she walked in front of a boy and whispered something. I tell you a secret, the boy fell over. But the audience didn't think anything of it because he was listening to the program as Falling Boy. And then we took a few more rows and did the same thing. Can I tell you a secret? She whispered something.
One thing we couldn't understand was if a fair knots attack depended on anxiety, then why were these people falling over? They didn't think it was real, so they should have been fine. The thing was that one of the cast members would come off the stage and whisper something in their ear, and they didn't know what to do. They got stage fright, which, as it turns out, is just as fatal as fear of death.
By the time she got to me, I was scared. She whispered something and nothing happened.
You've taken the Adderall.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't somebody have left?
They thought it was part of the play. Someone's cell phone went off. You look at the program, they're listed as cell phone girl. Can I tell you a secret?
Stop! Stop the play!
Who's that?
My name is Kenosha R. Sibylla Johnson. You better listen up. In a calm and orderly manner, leave the building. You have to be for your own safety. You're just a small child trapped in a car in the parking lot. See all the checks for insurance not your car.
Worst liar in the entire world.
Please leave!
They think you're part of the play.
You're the one playing me.
Yes?
You're not human.
What am I then?
Fair enough. You're human, and you are, and you are. Stay away from them! Now will you leave?
They think you're part of the play because you are part of the play.
No, I'm not.
Then why are you in the program?
I'm not.
Yes, you are. Right here. It says, the real Kenosha.
This is a trick.
There's a part in the play where you get chased in the woods.
You made a whole part of the play, in case I came back during the attack.
It's in the script.
There is no script.
Right here.
That's not real. This is a trap.
It's a high school play.
The perfect trap. Everybody has to come, and nobody's allowed to leave. They feed on anxiety. You only lose a few so far, but that'll change fast. The lights will go out. Feel crazy loud sound. And the eyes will light up as they start to feed.
There's nothing you can say to get them out of their seats.
I'm not to get them out of seats. I should get rid of you. Goodbye. Okay, give the whole time preparing a surprise.
What's a surprise?
If I told you, you wouldn't be surprised. Everybody! They're feeding on your stress. Smile. Relax yourself from the outside in. Now take a huge breath. Do it! And relax. I promise. You will not be calling those photos performance. What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
They weren't wanting.
We're acting. Stop. I want to tell you a secret.
No.
If you let me tell you the secret, I'll wake up the rest of the audience.
How?
I can do it.
I don't believe you.
Your only chance to save them is to believe me. Can I tell you a secret?
Stop smiling! Go ahead.
Can I tell you a secret?
Can I tell you a secret? I took 4 Adderall. Surprise!
Too bad. Lost your remote. And everyone out there still thinks this is a play.
Everyone but one. Mom! I'm here, sweetheart! Now!
That was the sound I heard that night. The sound of all those people being free. The best scream you can imagine.
25 days after the events in the old box began, they came to an end.
My name's Angela Lore. I survived the Manitowoc Paradox attacks.
My name's Clifton Barnes. I survived being in the play.
Marno, I'm alive because of Kenosha R. Sibling Johnson.
Kenosha saved my life.
Our whole family was in the theater that night.
Thank you, Kenosha.
Thank you.
We love you, Kenosha.
The people who had fallen unconscious that night had no memory of what had happened, but it changed them. I published 3 papers.
I got a medal.
I got a promotion.
I got prayed.
I got Kenosha.
They became famous, but the fame will pass. What had happened is impossible. Psychologists wrote it off as an example of mass hysteria. People getting scared at things that already scared them.
I lived through the events, and even I'm not sure. Did it really happen? Or was it just like that I and the people? The most scared I've ever been. And it was just me, scaring me.
Settle down. I have bad news. The play, it's not over.
The main thing about a trap, it needs to compete with Frank.
Why would a play cross anything?
What's real? What's not?
Sorry, we've been having some trouble with the lights.
The prize was I'm almost out the woods.
It was just me scaring me.
Recursion, a high school play about a high school play.
An audience being attacked will watch the play while an audience being attacked.
You look at an audience and say, you're gonna die, and they'll stay in their seats because they don't want to miss it.
Except for one.
People aren't actually scared of the dark.
Can I tell you a secret?
Can I tell you a secret?
Can I tell you a secret?
In the distance, Lachlan tells you you're safe. But if you hear it loud, you're too close.
Can I tell you a secret?
It's too late.